Good morning. A day late and a dollar short, as they say. I have significantly been struggling with sharing this episode, and I am just the last two solo episodes that I've done. I just have put so much pressure on myself thinking that they're not good enough. It's been like 4 months since I've done solos by myself, and I just don't know if I am not used to doing them alone anymore because Chance has been here, which literally saving my life, thank God. Or if I'm just putting more pressure on myself because I know I want the show to like go in a certain direction. So this is my second time recording. Really had to force myself to get this one out. Before we get into today's episode, first of all, hello, welcome to my bedroom. I feel like the scenery is gorgeous, okay? Before we get into the episode, I wanted to talk about this reel that I posted that I had so many people asking me questions about. I posted a reel on TikTok and Instagram where I was at a pool and I captioned it. It was like the last time I was here, my best friend tried to have a threesome with my man and I. And when I said no, she went around and told everyone we wanted to fuck her. And I feel like if you've been around for long enough, you could probably have a good guess of like what friend this was. And I'm going to leave that to speculation because I'm not going to completely divulge everybody's secrets. However, I was made aware that through a friend of a friend that this friend was going around telling people that, and I was shook. So when I was at Hotel Valley Ho a couple of weeks ago, I remembered this whole scenario and I was like, I just wanted to break it down because this is like the beauty of like online and dramatizing content to catch someone's eye. And I had someone in my DMs, she's probably listening to this, asking me tons of questions like, oh my God, who was this? Was it this person? Like, give me the deets, tell me, let me know, girl. And I'm like, well, it's like a version of the truth, okay? So I wanted to break it down a little bit because, you guys know I like to keep it real. And if you want to find all the realness, you got to come here because there's only so much we're going to be posting online nowadays. So it's an interesting story because yes, this is true, partially true. True in a way where like, I'm going to make it make sense. Okay. So the last time I was at Hotel Valley Ho, I was there for a friend's birthday and, we were really good friends at this point, and it was towards like reflecting now, it was towards like the end of our friendship, but we had been friends for a long time, like to the point where I thought this girl was going to be my maid of honor type vibes. Okay. And, it came to the point where like she would always get wasted and start sticking her tongue down my throat. And I'm like, okay, I mean, we're homies, we're close. Like I feel comfortable with her. So I would just, what do you do at that point when someone is drunk and coming up to you and just forcing themselves on you, essentially? Like that's really what happened. Sure, I could like push her away and be like, girl, stop. And there was a point where I was like, okay, this is too much. Like back up. But I was drunk too, like whatever. We've all kissed our girlfriends, Listen, I didn't go to college, okay? Like I've lived some of my college experiences through my closest girlfriends. I don't know what to say. When you feel comfortable with your girls, it's just like, I love her. Yeah, we'll make out. So she would get really drunk and start making out with me, like literally tongue down the throat, dancing on me, whatever. And I didn't think anything of this. I was like, she's just drunk. We're having fun, whatever. But it had consistently continued to happen like towards that end of our friendship era. And this specific moment, my man came to like pick us up and he ended up DDing us all back to her place after. There was like probably 10 or 12 people. Like there was a bunch of people. We all left Hotel Valley Ho after a day of day drinking and went back to her place, continued the party and got ready to go out, like all this kind of stuff. And to which she continued to stick her tongue down my throat in front of my man. And this was like I think the first time that like Zach had encountered me with like anyone else while we're like in a relationship. That came out weird. I feel like not like there's been all these other times with other people, because there hasn't. But he like made a couple of comments being like later on in the night, like, oh, well, like if you're going to make out with her, like, you know, I want to be involved. And it was like a second where I was like, wait, what? I'm like, hold up. That is not what's going on here. We're not going from 0 to threesome. That's not what happened. But it continued to open up the conversation within our relationship of like, are you interested in a threesome? Like, what do you mean you want to be involved? Like, what does that mean? And so that's kind of where this idea of like a threesome came from, right? Now, in no means did we sit there and be like, we want to have a threesome with this girl. That was not the case. It just opened up the conversation around sex and things that we were interested in and, you know, ideas that we had and how we wanted to connect and play and be intimate, okay? And because of that friend, it sparked the conversation. So this was the first time we had any conversations outside of like conventional monogamy, like, and sex between us two in a relationship. And there were a couple of conversations, you know, we were just like going back and forth, like, oh, I would be down for a threesome. I've had threesomes before. I've never had them in a committed relationship, which I think definitely changes the game. And listen, like I have thought about this so much, and it's not an immediate no. Like I genuinely am open, and I'm not a very jealous person either. So like we have had so many conversations and tried to like deeper understand like what that would be like. What are we gaining from it? Like, what are the boundaries? How do we feel? After that initial conversation, this was my best friend, okay? So I went to her and I was like, oh my God, I have to tell you something. And she's like, what? And I tell her, I'm like, well, after your birthday, you were like all over me, like sticking your tongue down my throat, like literally had videos of us like hardcore making out on my phone. Like, what the hell? I'm pretty sure I even have a video of me like pushing her away because I'm like, okay, you need to chill. But at no moment in time did I think like, oh, we're going to hook up. Anyways, so I told her, I was like, yeah, because you were like all over me the other night. Zach brought up the conversation of like a threesome. And I had explained to her that like, we weren't talking about having a threesome with you, but it opened up the conversation in our relationship of what that would look like, who it would be with, like how we could make something like that happen. And she took that and fucking ran with it, girl. She was like, what? And I do remember her being like, kind of like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not gonna have a threesome. And I'm like, no, that's not what we're talking about. I just thought it was interesting because it wasn't something we had ever talked about. And apparently she fucking took that and ran, because shortly after that, we had stopped being friends, maybe like 6 months or so after that. No, not even. Oh my God, it was like 4 months after that. And we did have a couple of mutual friends. And I find out like a year and a half later, we had this mutual friend out on our boat and at the lake. And she brought up like, oh yeah, she thought you guys wanted to have a threesome with her. She was like telling everyone that she was like appalled that you guys wanted to have a threesome and how weird it was like being around you or wanting to even like be involved. My jaw literally hit the floor. I'm like, not this girl starting something, first of all, wanting to basically, listen, I don't think it would have gone anywhere further of a makeout. Like that really wasn't the vibes that I was feeling even from her. But not you like sticking your tongue down my throat and then turning around and telling all of our mutual friends that we wanted to have a threesome with you. I'm like, okay. And my jaw literally hit the floor because it couldn't have been so much further from the truth, which is just wild. It's so interesting. Like people only hear what they want to hear and they just will run with it. So that is where I came up with the post. It wasn't like verbatim how the story went. Not really, but I will say it fucking sent off on TikTok. It literally went viral, which is so crazy to me. And now there's like a shit ton of men talking shit in the comments. So if you want a good laugh, go to the TikTok. You'll see it's like the pool, yellow and teal pool vibes. And you can see all the people, all the haters talking shit because, you know, people are so dumb. They're like saying, oh, you could have given him the time of your life. And then there's other people like, oh, I want to see the other girl. She's probably insecure and that's why she didn't do it. And it's like, listen, guys, you can't just go from 0 to threesome. That's how your relationship fucking goes down the toilet. Have we had a threesome since all of this? No. There hasn't even been one. Well, almost, but that's a story for another time. I forgot to even mention, welcome to season 3. This is the first episode of season 3. And it's going to be a wild one. I have so much planned for this year.
Girl, stop talking. All the shit that people are thinking but not saying. Men, if you're listening, I apologize in advance. Women, hey bitches, are you ready? Are you still talking? Girl, stop talking.
Happy fucking Tuesday, bitches. Before I jump straight into today's episode, it is a little more serious, but we're gonna like keep it fun. We're gonna keep it light. And I just wanted to give a little like disclaimer that I find my creative spark from opportunities and relationships and things that are going on in my current life. And one thing that I have noticed in a lot of the people that I surround myself with, not even that directly surround myself with, that I've seen online, just in my day-to-day, the things that I've noticed is the amount of people that I encounter that are just quite literally not happy in their relationships. And I obviously know that this is like a touchy subject. I don't want anyone close to me to think that this episode is directly about them. Although if you get a little defensive, if the shoe fits, girl. I've just noticed like common themes, and I'm a fucking talker. I'm a social girly. Like, people will literally come up to me and just start telling me their fucking life stories, or like on Instagram, we're DMing and people are asking me for my advice, or see me in my relationship and ask me questions like what I would recommend that they do to like find love. And I've just felt like this topic has been weighing on me and on my heart to speak about. And I was feeling very like inspired, I guess, by the people that are around me and stories that I have heard. And it's interesting because it's like, it's not all great, you know? But when it came to me sitting down for this episode, like, I have procrastinated the shit out of wanting to talk about this past relationship. And because here's what I didn't want to happen. I didn't want people to listen to this episode and think, oh my God, she's talking about me on the podcast. Like I said, these topics are inspired by real things that happen in my life. So an inspiration, if you will. But I really wanted to like talk about my experience and the things that I have personally dealt with in relationships. So I guess I'll just start there. I don't even know where this is going to go, you guys. Okay. I'm going to try and keep it light and fun. But as I reflect on my past relationships and the men that I chose to be in my life or to have subtle, small relationships with in the past, I realized that, where do I want to start with this? Sorry, I'm working it out in active time here. I look back and I realize that I have truly figured out the reason why I continued to pick shitty guy after shitty guy after shitty guy. And when I look back, I think to myself, like, I remember being like in high school, in elementary school, in middle school, always wanting a boyfriend. Okay. I'm sure I've talked about this before. Down to the point where I remember always writing it on my Christmas list to Santa. Okay. Like, we're going way the fuck back. I was asking Santa for a man. Okay. And I just remember like throughout high school, it was all of my friends that had relationships or boyfriends the whole time. And I was always the girl that didn't have a man. And I just remember always wanting to be loved. Now, I guess fuck if we're getting really deep, maybe I'll save that for another episode. I'm trying to think like, where did that come from? Because I have a great relationship with my dad, and my mom and I's relationship, we have had our ups and downs because of certain things that have happened in my childhood, but that's literally what just clicked. So it's so interesting when you really start working on yourself, like how you will just be like hit in the fucking face with realizations and like self-awareness of things that you've been through in life and how they've affected you as an adult. That's like what just happened in real time. We'll get to that story at another time. But I always wanted a boyfriend. I craved that love, I was a hopeless romantic. I loved rom-coms. Like, I wanted to be living in a real life rom-com. That was like where I was at. And I did have one great boyfriend in high school. Shout out. You know who you are. And then what's actually funny is I also had a lot of really shitty ones, to the point where like I don't check Facebook. Are people still on Facebook? Like, my millennial girlies, are you on Facebook? Because I got rid of that shit in 2018 after this crazy ex that I'm about to talk about. But occasionally I go on there to like check my statuses, because those Facebook statuses be wildin', girl. I went on there the other day and I found a status where I was literally talking shit about a boyfriend from high school, RIP, he's no longer with us, and how he cheated on me with this girl. And I found out because they both showed up to my house pool, and he came with hickeys all over his neck to my pool that everybody always wanted to come to because it was like a beach pool. And they both literally walked up with fucking hickeys on their neck. And I was with this guy. And I'm like, it's just so wild. Like, that's just one example. And like, it's funny because I was reading through the comments and I remember like this girl was a girl that would literally fight bitches. Okay. And I was not the girl to fight bitches. I was trying to like keep the peace. And I remember being so mad at that point that I was on these comments like talking so much shit, and I'm like, I don't even fucking give a shit. Fight me, bitch. I was like calling her a cunt. I'm like, this is crazy. Anyways, we will not be resurfacing those moments, but this is just an example of the type of guy that I would meet, that I would date. And it continuously would just get worse from there. I just have like, even the first guy that I fell in love with, he got very controlling. And I remember like I had just started high school. So that was an easy one for me to dip out and leave, because I'm like, I just made these friends. Like, I'm in high school. You can fuck all the way off. And then it came to my adulthood, and those relationships continued to just get worse and worse. It's always a little uncomfy for me to discuss the relationship that I have or had with my son's dad. I typically, as much as I would love to share all of the details because they're fucking juicy, out of respect for my son, I don't. So we are going to skip over that relationship. And he is so motherfucking lucky, dude. You are lucky. You're lucky that I care more about my son than I do about you. However, what I can say is that relationship clearly did not work out. It was also fueled with a lot of controlling behaviors and insecurities and jealousy towards people that are close to me in my life, or as in my friends. When I met my son's dad, I was living in Prescott, and my core friend group was in Phoenix. And so I would take a lot of time to go see them, and he never liked that. And as we all know, when it comes to controlling men, the first thing that they try to do is take you away from your friendships in the little ways that they can. It starts out small. For whatever reason, they're like, oh, what's the infamous line? Like, oh, it's not that I don't trust you. It's just I don't trust her. Or like, because she's a slut or she's a hoe. And you're like, she's literally single. What are you talking about? Anyway, so we're going to jump over that relationship. And I wanted to chat a little bit about my most crazy relationship. I'm not going to get into all of the details of that relationship because that's like a whole other episode in itself, but we will get there. We will fucking get there. What I wanted to talk about was how this relationship took a toll on my life and like my day to day. And I was so like taken over by this person that, you know, it's like you like, it's almost like when you're in a relationship and it's so bad and you're like walking on eggshells all the time. And then you're like, well, I rather not do this thing because I don't want to argue with my man about it. And I just see and have seen so many people in my life kind of go through these same things. And I feel like there are a lot of common themes, right? It's the belittling, the making you feel like you're crazy, the gaslighting, as they would say. Little things like when I first started dating this guy, he was super cool, super fun. Everything was great. Like, no problems. I was like, hey, gonna go out with my friends, gonna have a drink. He's like, okay, cool, no big deal. And that lasted for about 3 weeks, okay? And then it started becoming, why are you wearing that shirt? Why do you always wear crop tops? Those shorts are too short. Like, you're just dressing like that for attention. And it was these little things that, like, if you're a confident person, you're like, this is what I wear. I don't know. Like, what are you talking about? And I think that's like where I was for a while, where I was just like, I was wearing these things when you met me. So I'm not sure why anything has changed now. And I just like brushed it off. I'm like, you can not like it, but I don't care. Like, this is who I was when you met me. You're not going to change that. But it's those little things that start like wearing you down over time. And then there are also red flags that we tend to ignore, where it's like the big thing was I was living with a girlfriend at the time, and he had found out that me and this girlfriend had hooked up, okay? Like, in the past. This was like 2 or 3 years prior to meeting this guy. And fast forward, I was living with my friend, and he had found out that we had hooked up in the past. He was so insecure about finding that out, which in my mind, like, I always thought, oh my God, like, guys like hearing that, like, girl on girl, that girls are hooking up. Like, I thought it was a flex, low key, you know? I'm like, oh, he's gonna think I'm like fun and like freaky and sexy. But no, the amount of insecurities that this man had, he literally twisted it and turned it around and said that that's why we are living together, because we're secretly scissor sisters. And we're still hooking up. So there he was, trying to detach me from this friendship. Like, well, I just don't want you hanging out with her alone. I can't even keep a straight fucking face. Like, I'm like, bro, it was one summer and like it was hooking up with other people involved. I don't know what to say, but this is what they do, these guys, okay? And I'm fucking sick. I am sick of it. I'm sick of fucking hearing about it. I'm sick of like seeing these gorgeous, beautiful, attractive, fun, loving, genuinely good-hearted women dealing with these fucking men. And you know what makes me even fucking more pissed off about it is that they're choosing to deal with it. Okay? And this is a hard fucking truth, girl. I'm talking to you. I'm fucking talking to you. This is this quote. What you are not choosing, you are... What? No. Of course, I fuck it up. What you are not changing, you're choosing. Okay? And so, like, it drives me fucking crazy. And I've had to set, like, boundaries with certain people in my life because I cannot take hearing about the drama, about the boyfriend anymore. To the point where, like, they know that they're choosing to stay in this relationship, but then they're coming to me and asking me, like, why? Why this? Why do I feel this way? Or, like, can you believe this happened? And I'm like, yeah, I can believe it. I can't believe this happened because look at all the other thing that's happened, all the other things that have happened. Like, when you are in that part, like when you are stuck like that, and I want to like relate this full circle because I've been there. I have been in the position where I was going through a crazy fucking relationship and it fully consumed me. And it was quite literally, I look back and I reflect now as we're making a full circle from the beginning of this conversation. I was so desperate to be loved that I didn't care who was giving me the attention that I needed. And I'm not even saying that that was love because it wasn't. These guys that make you feel bad about yourself, make you choose between your friendships, your family, like say they're okay with one thing, but then they use it against you later on in like, or you confide in them and like share something with them that you had to be vulnerable about. And then they take it and they quite literally use it against you. Or like me, you know what happened to me? I shared in like information about how horrible my relationship was with my son's dad. And he used that against me along with pure blatant lies to reach out to him and create more drama. Lied to the point, oh my God, this story is just like, I feel like we don't even have time for this episode. And I know you guys are probably sitting there confused, like on the edge of your seat, like what fucking happened? What? We want to know. And it is just so chaotic, but you know what I mean, where you confide in someone and they're supposed to be there for you and they're supposed to be this layer of trust. And then they quite literally turn it around and use it against you, like vindictively on purpose to hurt you. And you still decide to stay. And I get it because you're sitting there and you're like fucking brainwashed. They've belittled you down. They've, told you, made you feel so bad about yourself and you're like stuck in this rut. Or you're living for these high highs and these low lows. And it's just, fuck. It just drives me fucking crazy. And like to the point, okay, I'll share this part with you because the other stuff is so heavy. My psycho ex, he was so vindictive and violent that the reason why I broke up with him, well, one of the reasons, and this is like, it's fucking crazy to say out loud. We were out drinking one night and this was the first time there was like physical violence. And he was being verbally aggressive and abusive and just being a fucking dick. Again, accusing me of hooking up with one of my girlfriends while we went to the bathroom to pee. Okay, that's what it started. He was blackout drunk and just being such a dick. I was supposed to stay at his house that night and I'm like, I'm not staying. And he's like, you're not leaving. And he pushed me into his bedroom, grabbed my shit out of my hands, slammed the door shut, threw my shit against the wall, and he was refusing to let me leave his bedroom. Now, after that happened, I was able to make it out of the room, but he was like, you're not going anywhere. You're not allowed to leave. He's like grabbing me by my wrists, like pulling me back into the house. And I finally was like, you know what? I'm fucking getting out of here. My girlfriend was with me. We get into the car, we're trying to leave and he's standing behind my car. He's like, you're not leaving. You're not going anywhere. And I'm like, you need to move. Like, get the fuck out of here, move. He wouldn't move. We would try to back up. He would go behind the car. We would try to like pull forward. He would come running back up to the window. And then it was like this game of like him not letting us leave the house. And to the point where we were reversing and he slams his hand down on my back windshield of my car and fucking shatters it. Shattered the back windshield of my car because he didn't want to let us leave the house. And in that moment, I was like, this guy is fucking crazy. Like, I could not believe we couldn't even go anywhere after that. Like, my friend and I, we pulled out of the house, went into a neighborhood around the corner and parked the car because we were like, we can't be like driving around like this. For one, it had been a long night. And for two, the back windshield is literally smashed. Like, it got to the point that where there was physical violence happening in the relationship. And I remember wanting nothing to do with him after that. But you know what ended up happening? I went back. So I'm like sitting here sharing this with you because I understand what it's like to go back to someone that you know is not good for you because they fuck with your brain. They're like, I'll never do this again. I promise I'm going to treat you right. And I'm so sorry, XYZ. God, and that whole story, like the whole thing is so shitty. My friend that night ended up leaving me at the bar and my phone was about to die and I had nowhere to go. And I ended up having to go back to his house, or it was like sleep on the fucking street. You get put in these like horrible situations where you feel like you have nothing and then you still decide to go back to this person. It all went downhill from there though, and it just continued to get worse to the point where I felt like if I would have stayed in this relationship, I would have gotten my ass beat. And that was enough to scare me to leave. And sometimes that's not enough to scare women to leave, or they're so afraid that something worse is going to happen. And the fucked up thing about like physical violence and abuse is that like our system is not set up to help you before something happens. They're only set up to help you after something happens. It took 6 police reports and a restraining order to get my ex off my ass before the court could do something. And then even after they could do something and file charges against him, they made me testify on stand, cross defense from his attorney in front of him after like all, and this is just like touching the surface of the craziness that this guy brought into my life. But to have to like go through all of this like quite literal psychological abuse along with physical and verbal, mental, emotional abuse and violence, like it fucking destroyed me. However, I do want to say that there are things that you can do, but you have to fucking stand in your power. And I think for me, the only thing that really saved me from this relationship was the fact that like I had my son, and it was only me doing the single mom thing at the time. And my son was very little, and I was like, there's no way I'm letting a man in my life like this or around my child if this is how he treats me. And like nothing happened around when my son was around, but still, like that's almost, the whole thing is just fucking icky. So to wrap this very dramatic story up, some of the things that I did, like once I felt like I have to leave this relationship, it got so bad. Or no, it was after the car. Wait, when the fuck was it? Now I'm getting confused. No, he was like he was being fucking crazy. Yeah, and I had to set some boundaries. I think that's the other thing, that like when you're in this cycle, you really have to be firm with yourself. You have to set boundaries. Like, what are you not willing to accept? Because I remember having a conversation with him about that. I'm like, this is what I'm not willing to accept. If you treat me this way again, I will leave you. And that will be it. And it will be done. But I knew damn well at that point that I was ready to walk away. And you have to stick to it. It's this is how I deserve to be treated. And then they treat you wrong. And then you continue to stay. You're basically, these men that are seriously like psychotic and insecure, they are quite literally like little puppies or like children. There are no consequences. They're going to continue to treat you that way. And I just remember being in that position. And even after I left that relationship, sorry, I keep stopping because I feel like I'm being so vague, but there's just so much more. And I feel like we'll get to it another time. Even after I got out of that relationship, I wanted to go back. I was the one that chose to be fucking done with him. I wanted to go back. And I remember fucking like calling my mom, crying so many times, being like, if I could just talk to him, if I could get closure. But guess what, sister? There is no closure in relationships like that. You're not going to get what you want by having a conversation with these men. The closure is moving on and realizing they weren't shit, and and understanding that you wasted however much time with this person. That is the closure. You being like, looking back at that relationship and being like, holy fuck, look how far I've come. That's the closure that you're going to get. And when you get out of these relationships, you really have to take a hard look at yourself and understand, like, this is what I had to do. So I'm speaking from experience. What is it about me that keeps continuing to choose this type of person? Like, what is it about me? What am I doing? And for me, it was being so desperate for someone's attention that I would undermine my values, that I would pass red flags under, sweep them under the carpet, all to be loved, which it's not love. That's not love. I look back at that relationship, and you know what's so crazy? I look back at that relationship, the crazy one, and I look back at the relationship with my son's dad, and there were so many similarities between them. Different experiences, lots of similarities. But the one thing that really struck me after I moved from this relationship is they both asked me, well, why do you love me? And all I could think about was the reasons why I didn't. And I could never give them an answer, which you could imagine made them even more insecure and thought I was like lying and cheating and sleeping with someone else or whatever the fuck. But I think back to that and I'm like, I could not think of one reason why I love this person. And I clung on to that hope, the hope that they would change, the hope that they would treat me the way they say they're going to treat me, the hope that they would love me in the way that I want to be loved. So much so that if Deegan would have been a girl, I was going to name him Hope if he was a girl. Because that's what I wished for in the relationship that I was in with his dad. And all of this, like now looking back, was just because I was desperate to be loved. So I think that we can wrap that part up. And I want to leave you guys with something a little fun. I asked you about the rules of your relationship, and I wanted you guys to interpret that in any way that you could. Some people were like, rules? What the fuck? So on a lighter note, I want to get into some of these rules for your guys' relationships, because I know I have some for mine, and they're really, really fun. And if you don't have any rules for your relationship, maybe this will inspire you to make some and be able to have a little banter or light laugh with your partner. So let's get into it. Per usual, I'm going to start with the rules in my relationship. These ones are fun, okay? Last one out of the bed has to make it. This is a rule that my man put in place. I think Honestly, it's because he knew I was always going to be the last one out of bed. So those mornings where I am up at the butt crack of dawn and get out of my feet, I'm like looking at him like, motherfucker. Kinky sex gets you breakfast in bed. So when you see those videos of me on Instagram getting my breakfast served to me in bed, if you know, you know. Must have music or porn during sex. So we like to like set a mood, be intimate. We usually have like my man's big on lighting, so we'll have like dimmed lighting, maybe the LEDs are on, and then there either has to be music or porn, or both, with the music on, the porn silenced. It's always a good one. Now we're gonna get into your guys's. This one says effort and honesty are a non-negotiable. For real. This one's like a little more serious, but I love it because if neither of you are putting the effort or one of you isn't, someone's become complacent. I really think you get so used to like living life with someone that complacency happens very, very quickly. And so being intentional about plans or, creating date nights or having fun together is a great rule to have. Love that one. Open, honest communication about everything, tackling life as a team. Love that. You have to be honest. If you're not used to communicating or being honest, I encourage you to, hopefully you're in a safe enough space, not like the guys we just talked about in this episode, to feel like you can be open and honest and vulnerable in your relationship. If you feel like you cannot be vulnerable with the partner you're choosing, probably not the one for you, sister. If you feel like you want to yell, it's okay and you should walk away. Okay, a little controversial. I had another one in here that said no yelling. So this person is saying it's okay to feel like you want to yell, but again, you're being self-aware and you're like, maybe I need to take a pause, table this, and just collect myself before I explode or can no longer control my emotions. Treat me like a lady in the streets and a freak in the sheets. Love that rule. That's a great rule. Always, it's like open the door and smack my ass on the way in, Call me a dirty little slut. No, respectfully. Okay. I don't take out the trash. That's a boy chore, and I don't care who judges me. I love this. I have boy chores in my house. Well, house rules with my son are different than rules in my relationship, but I agree. I'm not always for traditional roles in the household, but if I have the opportunity to not take out the trash, I would love not to. I do feel lucky that like my man and I just clean up after ourselves. We're like the same person when it comes to cleanliness. So I feel like that's great. And, we just pick up where the other has left off. I feel like we don't even need to have like household chore rules because we both like our homes to like be a certain way. And we definitely just pick up where the other one leaves off. Although I will say he's a lot better at doing laundry than I am. He is the king of laundry. Which I'm so grateful for. This person said never go to bed angry. Okay, a classic. I think sometimes you have to go to bed and not have the perfect results that you're looking for. Like, I don't think it's realistic to sit here and say not to go to bed angry. I mean, I can't speak from experience because I don't really feel like I get angry within my relationship. So it'd be interesting to pick that one apart a little more. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Do you go to bed angry? Do you agree with that? I'm curious. A partnership, and also needing my independence to a certain level. I always say there are 3 things in a relationship. There is you, there is your partner, and there is your relationship. If you were in a relationship where your partner doesn't allow you to be independent, they're trying to control where you're going, what you do, or they're very codependent, want to be with you every single step of the way, I personally don't think that is a healthy one. I think it is great to be able to have your own things and your independence, have time with your girlfriends, have a hobby that you enjoy doing by yourself. Shit, even like taking yourself out, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that promotes healthy relationships. So, agreed. Sense of humor, because I swear I'd be making these men laugh more than they make me laugh. Girl, like, we just can't help it that you're a good time. Seriously, you have to find someone that is gonna banter the way you banter. And like, if you're carrying the conversation, if you're carrying the date, like, you may be a great dater and all these guys are probably like, oh my God, I had so much fun, she really likes me. And then you're sitting there like, I was carrying you on my back this whole fucking time. I couldn't wait to get out of there. I love that. The banter, it's really gotta click. Agreed. Match as often as possible, like outfits, because the pics and the vibes are always higher. I think this is hilarious. Honestly, I love that you're doing this, girlfriend. My man always makes fun of me because when we first started dating, I didn't want to go to the gym with him, and my excuse was that was too coupley. So he has never let me live that down. So like something like this, like if I was like, oh, let's match, or he's like, babe, we're unintentionally matching. I'm like, yeah, it's so coupley. Like, let's do it. Match me. We're so cute. We're like little old people that match their shirts together. I think it's super cute. Communicate everything as things come up and work together to solve it. Yes. Remember, you guys are there. You are not, neither of you are the enemy. If you're in a happy, healthy relationship, it's okay to have differences. That's fine. That's normal. The healthy part of it is being able to like understand the other person's perspective and work through it together. It's like what they say, like when you have a new baby or you have like young kids, they're like, we are not the enemy. The kids are the enemy. Take every opportunity to dance. That's very cute. Dance, be goofy, be silly. Like, I totally agree. Love that. 48 rule. Can't go that long without making love. Damn, girl, you live in a healthy sex life. We'd love to hear it. I feel like personally, I would be stressed if this was a rule in my relationship. I think that relationships go through seasons and like not every relationship is the same. If you're living with the person and that's a rule and it works for you guys, I think that's fucking great. Unfortunately for me, like we're like together living apart. And so we typically do see each other like 3 or 4 times a week, but like sometimes we go 3 or 4 days. So like that 48-hour rule just doesn't always hit the mark. However, I can agree that it's always on the top of the brain and like sex elicits sex. So if you are happy and horny and if you're like, I get to do this, that's the other thing, like changing your perspective. Like I get to connect with my partner tonight. Like I get to have those feel good hormones. I get to be intimate rather than like, oh, we have to do this or like I have to have sex. Like, no, this should be fun. It's like the way to like be intimate with your partner and like feel connected to them, like so connected, like a charger going into a plug. You know what I mean? Lastly, this is a little controversial and I would love to dig a little deeper and understand why a little more. This one says, he's not allowed to go to Bikini Beans whatsoever. If you're local to Arizona, you know Bikini Beans is a coffee shop where the girls are dressed in bikinis. And so if that's a rule in your relationship, I understand. There's got to be boundaries. I'm curious to know why. Has infidelity happened in the past? Has there been situations where you have been made to feel insecure? Like, where is this insecurity coming from? Like, I would encourage you to dig a little deeper and ask some questions to yourself. Like, where is this coming from? Is it an insecurity? Is it jealousy? Did something potentially happen to break the trust within the relationship? I think once we start telling our partners what we can and can't do, things can get a little hairy really quickly. However, I say that with grace because we don't have any detailed information to go based off of that. So if you agree, let me know. If you want me to further give advice on that last little blurb, girl, right into the show. Everything will be anonymous. Tell me why. Tell me why your man can't go to Bikini Beans. Give me some detail. I'm interested. You guys, that was it. Thanks for letting me rant. I realized after doing this episode, I do want to dig a little deeper and do an episode kind of giving some healthy alternatives to getting out of a toxic relationship and some ways to encourage yourself and help create more confidence within your life to leave these shitty men and not allow them to enter your circle. Definitely feel very called to do that. So I will be working on more of a scripted episode that will be coming in the near future. So I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, leave a comment on YouTube at Girl Stop Talking Podcast, and tell a friend. Get them to subscribe on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, anywhere you listen. Go write a review on Apple. That would be great. We've doubled the show here in this last year, and I'm just excited for more. I think that's why it's been so hard for me to do these solos. I have I'm putting so much pressure on myself to make sure they're really fucking good, and it has me second guessing myself a lot. So help a girl out. Validate me a little bit. How did you like this episode? Let me know in the YouTube comments. Let me know on Spotify. And I can't wait to connect with you guys next week. Chance and I are talking about celibacy, and we're starting to do a couple trendy topics together each week so that we can chat and gossip about what's going on in the world, in drama, all the things. Okay, gotta go. Bye.
Are you still talking? Girl, stop talking.